Main event time coming up this weekend. Mackenzie Dern taking on Xiaonan for a battle of strawweight supremacy. As always, one half of your hosting duo, Craig Allen, Twitter and Instagram at Craig Allen FNP. We've been rocking and rolling with Dana White's Contender Series with Fight Night picks here for 10 weeks. And depending on the type and the time of week you're watching this, it's over. But if you did check it out, it was a great run. We threw out the subscriber goal for 30,000 subscribers. You guys met that, and we had a great time doing that show. Bo Nickel, Donovan Beard this week, so check it out if you haven't.
I have a pretty good feeling Bo Nickel's going to be in the UFC here pretty soon.
Well, if the fight happened, it happened. Matt Allen, as always, respective socials, at Matt Allen FNP. But to get to the here and now, Mackenzie Dern taking on Xiaonan. It is a funny 5-on-in to watch, because for Xiaonan, she went undefeated in the UFC, took on Carla Esparza as a favorite, lost to the now champion, had to rebuild herself, fights Marina Rodriguez, loses that fight by split decision for Mackenzie Dern. 4-1 is the 5-on-in. She did, of course, lose to Marina Rodriguez as well.
It's gonna happen.
And then her last time out, picked up a win by split decision over Tecia Torres. These two are known as specialists. For Mackenzie Dern, it is her grappling. It is her jiu-jitsu. She is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. We get that out of the way
One
early.
Of the best ever.
80-6C success, performance bonuses in the UFC, the whole 9 yards. She does get it done that way. But for Xiaonan, it really is her crisp boxing combinations, her entries, her in and out, her ability to cut the cage and utilize her own leg kicks. That's what wins her fights. And for Xiaonan, she's one of the more technical strikers that you're going to find in this division.
Without a doubt, she should have a big advantage on the feet in this matchup. But I agree with what you said, but I will give both ladies this credit. Yes, both of them came in as specialists, but I feel like they have done a really good job working at what made them at least human, if you will. Because for Mackenzie Dern, one of the worst strikers we've ever seen when she first came into the UFC. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but if you can remember all that time ago, and I will say this, it's wild that Mackenzie Dern's still only 29. It feels like she has been around for a very, very long time at this level. But for Dern, in her early UFC tenure, she was getting dropped by Ashley Yoder. Like, she was just rushing in recklessly, throwing Aleksei punches like slap punches, and really just being a net negative on the feet. But ever since she has made the adjustment to go train with Jason Perillo at Ruka, she has made quite a few advancements with her striking on the feet. Is she a big kicker? Not at all. Is she the best boxer we've ever seen? No. But when you're a specialist like Mackenzie Dern is, to that nth degree with your grappling, you need to fill in the extras at a certain point, and it has been nice to see Dern be able to work on her boxing a lot in her UFC career. And for Xiaonan, it was always the wrestling and the grappling. How's it going to look? And granted, against Carla Esparza, it did not look good at all. But that's what Carla does. She's going to go in there, she's going to ground you out, she's going to look great with her own offensive wrestling. But I still feel like Xiaonan, from the first fighter that we saw, has good top pressure. Like, when she's the one who's able to grapple on her own terms, we've seen how damaging her shots can be in that top position. She can threaten with some submissions, although I should not do that in this matchup no matter what she does. But again, I just feel like both ladies did come in as specialists, but they have been able to round out their game plans to where, okay, if Xiaonan does find herself on the mat against most fighters, I don't think that it's just, she's losing all those exchanges. And the same thing has to be said for Dern. I don't favor her striking against somebody like a Marina Rodriguez or a Weili Zhang, but still, she has been able to look a lot better in that one realm of her game to where I don't just think she's going to lose it no matter what. Now, with saying all of that, this fight more than any on the card does seem to be a clash of styles, to where if Mackenzie Dern can even get one takedown, and I'm not stressing, one takedown is all Mackenzie Dern needs against pretty much any fighter in this division to at least threaten with a submission. I don't think she's going to be able to get it every single time, but Dern is so high level with her BJJ that there's not really anybody else in the division that I feel comfortable with grappling with her for any period of time, just because she can be so unorthodox and really threaten with a lot off her back. And I say it especially in this fight because let's say she is on her back. She's not a great offensive wrestler. We have seen that. Her numbers are very poor for her own takedowns, but she does like to get a lot of those, like, trip takedowns, just scrambles, sort of those weird tackle type things.
Bait you into
pull
it.
Guards, exactly. And from those positions, she is good at getting into the top position from it. Damian Maia liked to do this, where he'd go for that half guard. He'd almost pull guard, get really deep on it, and then try to take your back from that. Mackenzie Dern's going to go for a lot of those types of takedowns in this matchup, and that's why I've always had a hard time putting Dern in sort of the top 5 of this division, because again, her one tool is almost as good as anybody's X factor. It's just, are the other parts of her game there enough finally for her to be able to go in there and beat fighters in a 5-round atmosphere? Because that's going to be an important thing in this fight.
When you look at it for Mackenzie Dern, she has the 5-round experience previously, and you look at her fight against Marina Rodriguez, 49-46 is how you judge that fight. She was able to get it done in, what was it, round number 2?
Yeah.
She was able to get that takedown, almost get the finish. It was kind of like Brian Ortega and Alexander Volkanovski. She was able to look really good. But round 1...
Jennifer Maya, Valentina.
Pick your fight. Round 1, 3, 4, and 5. It was all the Marina Rodriguez striking showing. Dern did show some advancements in her striking, which sort of carried over against Tecia Torres. We're going to talk controversial split decisions. When you look at Mackenzie Dern and Tecia Torres in the moment, I thought Torres won the fight. On the show, UFC 273, we were there for the sidekick. I thought she won. You thought Dern won. It was really close. 11-7, Torres to Dern, 29-28 on MMA decisions. That's how the media scored it. It was very close. Yan Xiaonan versus Marina Rodriguez. 10-10. It was split. 29-28, whether Rodriguez had won or whether Yan Xiaonan had won. But if you look at those matchups, Yan Xiaonan looked really good round 1, even though Rodriguez probably won round 1. And then I thought Xiaonan did it round 2, round 3. But it was a nice carryover. No big drop off in the cardio. And she was able to bounce in and out and really dictate a lot of the pressure of that fight against Rodriguez. Whereas Rodriguez against Dern, a lot on the back foot, a little bit on the offensive, but Rodriguez was able to really pull away with a lot of her volume in the striking. Dern didn't really have a big answer to any of it.
It just feels like when you're fighting Mackenzie Dern, it's like being trapped in quicksand. You have to do everything perfect to be able to get out of those bad situations, and that's the interesting thing about Yan Xiaonan in this matchup. Let's say her takedown defense is similar to what we saw in the Carla Esparza fight. Now, I know Carla is much more of a wrestling-dominant fighter than Mackenzie Dern is, but still, if she looks like that, the window is open for Mackenzie Dern to get a takedown in this matchup. If Dern is able to get on top, again, I could see her losing the first 3 rounds of this fight, getting top position for 4 minutes in the 4th round, and that being enough for her to be able to get the submissions. Just with Yan Xiaonan, especially on the feet, I think Dern's gonna have a really hard time winning a lot of those moments on the in-between. Now, if Dern does just kind of put her head down, try to get into more of those car crash engagements, I think it could help her, because I do favor Yan Xiaonan a lot on the feet with his technique for technique at range, but if Dern can kind of make it a little ugly on the inside, I think that might make Yan Xiaonan at least cognizant of the fact of, okay, we're at close range, I have to worry about the takedown, I gotta worry about the hands a little bit. I think that could help Mackenzie Dern as this fight progresses. I just think on the feet, Yan Xiaonan's a lot more crisp with her own boxing. Now, do you think Yan's going to kick less in this matchup just because of the threat of the takedown from Mackenzie Dern? Because I think that's going to be an important part just to see how is she going to fight this fight.
She's not a huge kicker in her own right. She'll throw them high. She can throw them to the body. She can throw them to the leg. But it very much is boxing combination, 1-2, back out, 1-2-3, end with an uppercut, back out. It really is quick with her footwork, and that's really the thing that adds in. If you look at it, I mean, she's been at Team Alpha Male for quite some time now, so you do expect working with a Darren Elkins, working with some of the fighters that are over there, that you're going to accentuate your takedown defense. For Mackenzie Dern, you look at the level of competition, who she's been training with. You see Sabina Mazel over there and Tabatha Ricci at Ruka Sport, so you get a little bit of a look in the kickboxing from somebody like Mazel. You get a little bit of a look with the takedowns and what you can do with your overall grappling style with Tabatha Ricci. So I would be surprised if Yan Xiaonan does go kick heavy in a matchup like this. But I think in and out, I think when you talk about styles that are conducive to 5-round fights too, Yan Xiaonan just keeping it on board for 5 rounds, working the kickboxing. I think it's a style that can win you decisions even in a 5-round atmosphere. Whereas for Mackenzie Dern, one hit, one quit. One hit, one kill. Or quit jiu-jitsu. I think you can do that in a 5-round fight as well. But if you look at the striking, it's not necessarily 5-round striking.
It is wild to say that Mackenzie Dern's like Francis Ngannou with her grappling, though. But it is the truth. Like, that's how dangerous of a fighter we're talking about when it comes to Mackenzie Dern and her pure jiu-jitsu. Like, regardless of gender, regardless of weight class, pound for pound, Mackenzie Dern is as good of a grappler in MMA as anybody else in the UFC. You can come at me all you want. That is the absolute truth, though. And that's why I keep on finding myself ever so slightly wanting to favor Mackenzie Dern in this matchup. I just think this could be one of those fights where I'm gonna look dumb if she does lose, but I can see her losing round 1, losing round 2, but just having enough moments in those rounds to help her as the fight continues. I do think that her style of grappling, like we had said, she doesn't need that one big punch to knock you out. It's not that she has to have a crazy amount of cardio in those last 2 rounds to be able to muster up offense. Her offense just is the grappling portion of her game, and when it comes to grappling cardio, Mackenzie Dern is going to be second to none in that aspect. Again, I just tend to favor Mackenzie Dern for her ability to get those ugly types of takedowns. I know her percentages aren't very good if you look at the pure numbers, but Dern's level of grappling really is second to none. And in a matchup like this where Xiaonan can get caught on her back sometimes, especially if she is having trouble getting back up to her feet. And if you are a fighter who's just kind of waiting for the ref to pick you back up and not being active enough with your own defense, that's where Mackenzie Dern can get one of those crazy slick submissions off when they catch you sleeping. So I think this is a well-contested matchup. I think it's an important fight for the division because the winner is either fighting themselves against like a legend of the sport in like a Jessica Andrade or a Rose Namajunas, or they're finding themselves in like a title eliminator. So I ever so slightly have Mackenzie Dern, but this should be a fun fight.
Number 5 versus number 6. Mackenzie Dern is the favorite. Open minus 185, minus 225 right now. Xiaonan open plus 160, plus 185. 76% of you that voted in the YouTube community tab. You can do that every single week. We throw it out there to you. Threw it out here not that long ago. This one has a lot of comments, Matt. Seth MacArthur saying, I get Jan, or takedown defense will be improved. We'll put on a dominant striking display. It's looked really good. The only 2 fights where it's kind of faltered in the UFC, Claudia Gadelha was able to take her down, but Jan made her pay on the feet. And then the fight against Carla Esparza where it gets finished. Bob, if Dern has not improved her wrestling, I don't know what to say.
And then the thing about Dern, like her jiu-jitsu is so good, but her wrestling isn't. So she does really lack that one transition to be able to take it from the feet to her grappling.
Chad the UFC dad, I feel like UFC is giving Dern a layup. She's talented and marketable. Everything the UFC drools over. Dern by sub. Angelo threw out a sleeping emoji. Philip Martin said these fight nights with these mains need to stop. It's awful. And we got 1 pick for Xiaonan. So Matt, you like the grappling of Mackenzie Dern. I agree with you. I think when you look at Dern and her style, she just needs that 1 takedown to get a finish in a matchup like this. Xiaonan's a striker. You're out of water regardless when you take it to the mat, no matter how much you work your takedown defense. But likewise, Mackenzie Dern's not a striker. Xiaonan's a lifelong striker with her boxing. And I think for Xiaonan, she has that 5-round ability or capability. We haven't seen it in the UFC yet, but just with the style that she has, I absolutely love her boxing combinations, her in and out movement, side to side, and obviously in and out, as I said. So I like Xiaonan in this matchup. I think an opportunity as an underdog here where the line's going to continue to grow. People might point to the fact that maybe age-wise, she's a little bit over the hill because 31, 32, you're in your prime. She just turned 33. But I do like Xiaonan with her striking. I think she's that much better of a striker. And Mackenzie Dern with her takedowns, they might be unorthodox, but they're not high percentage looks. Not like Carla Esparza, not like Claudia Gadelha, where they're going to go in and just push the pace and try and wrestle and grapple you down. I think Xiaonan can get the win. But again, I can see Dern winning this fight. You can see a way where Xiaonan can
the much steadier fighter is Xiaonan. Again, I just like the higher highs in the grappling of Mackenzie Dern in this matchup. When you have a specialist of her level, if you even get the fight on your terms for 5 seconds, it is a massive advantage. So I like Dern for those reasons.
Big opportunity for both of these fighters. Matt going with Mackenzie Dern to get the win. I'm going to be going with Xiaonan. You let us know throughout the week in the comments. That's how you help out the channel.
Exactly.
You hit the comment section. You can hit the tip button on here. You can super chat us.
Retweet.
Question mark kick starts on Saturday. It's 2 hours before the prelims. You have this fight night card, and then there's another week break, and then you have another fight night card, and that's Alexa Grasso and Viviane Araújo.
Back like we never left.
And UFC 280's coming up after that, and that's good. And then after that, you have another big fight night card. So, Dana White's Contender Series is coming to an end this week. We have our video Monday night. It's live. Help that up. And then it's, we're just kind of lost in the ethos of MMA for a little bit.
We are, but I am excited for this card. Initially, when I came here to break this down, I wasn't all that excited, but we've gone through a lot of really fun fights. Aleksei, Oleinik, Ilir, Latifi is a weird one that's buried on the prelims. I know Brendan Allen, Krzysztof Jotko is one that we're both excited for. Not middleweights that you think, hey, they're going to challenge for the title tomorrow, but that's going to be a good quality win for either guy.
Mike Davis taking on Slava Borshchev. That's a really good fight as well. So some great fights coming up this week. Bake that algorithm, the likes, the comments. It does help us out. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.